Have you ever walked into a bank and felt like you were in an interrogation room? They ask for your name, your address, your social security number, and then the big one, your income. We've all been trained to just spill the beans. We think it's a normal part of banking. But what if I told you that telling your bank your income is one of the biggest financial mistakes you can make? What if I told you that banks are not your friends, and they are using this information, your information, against you in ways you can't even imagine? Stick around, because today I'm pulling back the curtain on one of the financial industry's best-kept secrets. I'm going to show you why you should stop telling banks your income, how they weaponize it, and the legal loopholes that let you keep this information private. This is the stuff they do not want you to know. First things first, let's get one thing straight. Why are banks so obsessed with your income? It's not because they care about your financial well-being. It's not because they want to cheer you on as you climb the corporate ladder. It's about one thing and one thing only: profit. Your income is the key that unlocks their entire profit model. It tells them exactly how much they can squeeze out of you. Think of it like this. Your income is a label they slap on your forehead. This label tells them what products to push on you, what fees they can get away with charging you, and how much debt they can load you up with before you break. It's a number that defines you in their system, a system designed to maximize their earnings, not your savings. They see a high income, and they see a gold mine. They see a low income, and they see an opportunity to trap you in high-interest debt. Either way, they win, and you are just a number in their game. So how exactly do they use this number against you? Let's break it down. The most obvious way is with credit limits. You walk in, tell them you make $100,000 a year. Boom. They roll out the red carpet and hand you a credit card with a $20,000 limit. You feel important, you feel successful. But what really happened? They just gave you enough rope to hang yourself financially. They know that with a high limit, the temptation to spend is greater. They are betting on you to carry a balance, a big balance, so they can rake in that sweet, sweet interest. On the flip side, if you tell them you make $30,000 a year, they might give you a card with a paltry $500 limit and a sky-high interest rate. They've pegged you as high risk, so they'll make their money off you through exorbitant rates, knowing you have fewer options. In both scenarios, your income dictates the terms of your financial cage. They build the cage, and you willingly walk into it. But it gets even more sinister than just credit limits. They use your income to fine-tune the interest rates they offer you. Two people with the exact same credit score can walk into the same bank, apply for the same loan, and get wildly different interest rate offers. The deciding factor? Their stated income. The person with the higher income might get a slightly better rate, not out of kindness, but because the bank sees them as a more profitable long-term customer for other products. The person with the lower income gets a worse rate because the bank wants to maximize its profit on that single transaction, assuming they won't be a big spender later on. They are constantly running calculations, figuring out the absolute highest rate they can charge you without you walking away. Your income is the primary variable in that equation. It's a constant negotiation, and you are giving them the most powerful piece of ammunition before the conversation even starts. And then there are the targeted offers. This is where it gets really creepy. Once your bank knows your income bracket, their marketing machine goes into overdrive. Suddenly your inbox and mailbox are flooded with offers perfectly tailored to separate you from your money. High income. You get glossy brochures for wealth management services you don't need, premium credit cards with hefty annual fees, and invitations to exclusive seminars that are really just sales pitches. They dangle the carrot of exclusivity and status, knowing that people in your income bracket are susceptible to that kind of marketing. Lower income? You get bombarded with offers for payday loans, high-interest personal loans, and credit cards designed for rebuilding credit that come with a laundry list of hidden fees. They prey on financial desperation. They know your pain points because you handed them the blueprint, your income statement. They are not offering you solutions. They are offering you more sophisticated traps. Every piece of mail, every email, every pop-up ad is a calculated attempt to exploit your financial situation, a situation you voluntarily disclosed. So the big question is, when do you actually have to tell them your income? This is the secret they really do not want you to know. The law is very specific about this. You are legally required to provide your income when you are applying for a loan. That means a mortgage, an auto loan, a personal loan, any form of credit where the lender is taking on risk. The law requires them to assess your ability to repay, and income is a part of that. This is called the ability to repay rule. It's there to protect both you and the lender. But hey, raise the kicker. That is pretty much it. When are you not required to tell them? Almost every other time. Opening a simple checking or savings account. You do not need to tell them. They'll ask. Oh, they will definitely ask. They'll slide it onto the application form like it's a mandatory field. They'll make it seem like the entire process will grind to a halt if you leave it blank. It's a bluff. Think about it. Why would a bank need to know your salary to hold your money in a checking account? They don't. A checking account is a service you are paying for, either through fees or by letting them use your money. Your income is completely irrelevant to their ability to provide that service. They want it for the reasons we just discussed, to profile you, to target you, and to sell you things. So what do you do when they ask? You can politely decline. You can say, I prefer not to disclose that information for a simple deposit account. You can leave the field blank on the form. Will they push back? Maybe. A teller might be trained to insist. They might say it's for your protection or to understand your financial needs better. See through the corporate jargon. It's for their protection, their profits. It's to understand your financial vulnerabilities better. Stand your ground. If they refuse to open an account for you simply because you want to disclose your income for a non-credit product, that is a huge red flag. You should take your money and walk out. Go find a bank or a credit union that respects your privacy. They exist. You just have to look for them. Let me give you a personal example. A while back, I went to open a new business checking account. The banker was friendly, the process was smooth, until we got to the application form. There it was, annual business revenue and personal annual income. I was opening a brand new account for a brand new business. There was no revenue yet, and my personal income was none of their business for a simple checking account. So I left them blank. The banker looked at the form and said, "Sir, you need to fill these out." I smiled and said, "The business is new, so there is no revenue to report, and my personal income is not relevant for a checking account." He looked a little flustered. He said it was bank policy. I asked him to show me the policy in writing that required an income disclosure for a non-credit account. He couldn't. He went to talk to his manager. He came back a few minutes later and said, "Okay, we can proceed." Just like that. They backed down because they knew they had no legal leg to stand on. They were just trying to get data. They were data mining me, just like they data mine everyone who walks through their doors. This principle extends to online banking too. Have you ever logged into your bank account and seen a pop-up asking you to update your financial profile? It will ask for your income, your employer, maybe even your net worth. It is often disguised as a security update or a way to get more personalized offers. Do not fall for it. Personalized offers are just targeted sales pitches. Click, "No thanks, ask me later," or just X out of the window. There is no requirement for you to provide this information once you are an established customer, unless you are applying for new credit. They are just phishing. They are hoping you will mindlessly click and update, feeding their marketing machine more data to use against you. Every time you give them a piece of information you don't have to, you are weakening your own financial position. You are giving away your negotiating power for free. Knowledge is power, and in the world of banking, your personal financial data is the ultimate source of power. Guard it closely. So what is the actionable advice here? Let's create a new set of rules for dealing with banks. Rule number 1. Understand the difference between a request and a requirement. If you are applying for a loan, a mortgage, a line of credit, you will have to disclose your income. That is a legal requirement. But for almost everything else, it's just a request. A request you can and should decline. Rule number 2. Be prepared to say no. Practice it. I am not comfortable sharing that information. That information is not relevant for this type of account. I prefer to keep my financial details private. Be firm, be polite, but be clear. You are the customer. You are in control. Rule number 3. Question everything. When a bank asks for a piece of information, ask them why they need it. If the reason is for marketing purposes or to offer you other products, that is your cue to decline. You are not there to be a sales lead. You are there to conduct a transaction. Now, let's talk about credit unions for a moment. Credit unions are often a better alternative to big, traditional banks. They are nonprofit cooperatives owned by their members. Their fundamental structure is different. While they still need to be profitable to operate, their primary motive is not to squeeze every last penny out of you for their shareholders. It is to serve their members. Does this mean they will not ask for your income? No, they probably will. They use a lot of the same software and follow a lot of the same industry practices. But in my experience, they are far less aggressive about it. And because their profit motive is different, the way they use that data tends to be less predatory. They are more likely to use your income information to genuinely try to help you, perhaps by offering financial counseling or a debt consolidation loan with a fair rate. They are not perfect, and you should still be cautious, but they are generally a safer and more ethical place to put your money. If you have the option, I strongly recommend looking into local credit unions in your area. Let's circle back to the psychology of this. Banks have spent decades and billions of dollars cultivating an image of authority. The marble floors, the serious suits, the formal language. It is all designed to make you feel small and to make them feel powerful. They want you to feel like you should be grateful that they are even willing to do business with you. This creates a power imbalance where you feel obligated to answer all their questions without hesitation. We need to shatter that illusion. When you walk into a bank, you need to remember that you are the one with the power. You are the prize. They need your money to operate. They need your business to survive. You are interviewing them, not the other way around. Adopting this mindset is the first step to taking back control of your financial life. Don't be intimidated. Be informed. Be assertive. What about when you have already given them your income? Is the cat out of the bag forever? Not necessarily. While you can erase the data they already have, you can stop providing them with new data. When they ask for an update, decline. If you change jobs or get a raise, keep it to yourself. The less they know about your current situation, the less ammunition they have. Over time, the data they have on you will become outdated and less useful to them. Also, remember that you can always move your money. If you feel your bank is being too intrusive or is not respecting your privacy, vote with your feet. Closing your accounts and moving to a different institution sends a powerful message. It is the ultimate form of saying no. There is a cost and a hassle to switching banks, but the long-term benefit of protecting your financial privacy is well worth it. Let's recap the key takeaways. Banks are not your friends. They are for-profit businesses that view your income as a tool to maximize their earnings. They use your income to set credit limits, determine interest rates, and bombard you with targeted offers designed to get you into debt. You are only legally required to provide your income when applying for credit, like a loan or a mortgage. For almost everything else, like opening a checking or savings account, it is just a request that you can and should decline. Practice saying no politely but firmly. Be prepared to question their motives and walk away if they do not respect your privacy. Consider moving your money to a credit union, which is a member-owned, nonprofit alternative. And most importantly, change your mindset. You are in control of your financial data. Do not give it away for free. By guarding this one crucial piece of information, you shift the power dynamic back in your favor. You stop being a target and start being an informed consumer. This is not about being paranoid. It's about being smart. It's about understanding the game and refusing to be a pawn. Thank you for watching. If you found this information valuable, please hit that like button, subscribe for more financial secrets, and share this video with someone who needs to hear it. Stay safe and stay private.